God said that we're under attack. And I was like, you know, and then in the word he says, don't think it's strange that you encounter various trials and tribulations. I may have to come down. I don't like all this creaking. Don't think it's strange that you encounter all these trials and tribulations. Count it all joy. But you have to know some things you encounter, some things you cause, and some things you're targeted. The enemy has targeted you. There are things that are happening in many lives. You can look around this room and you can just take an assessment of your own life over the last year or two. And look at the thing that has happened, the thing that has happened, the thing. We have lost friends. We have lost family. People have been sick. Relationships have been destroyed. Children have gone crazy. This ain't strange. We have things mapped out. We expect things to go a certain way, and then it just goes left. It's like, what the heck? And then we're trying to teach our kids. We're trying to teach our brother. We're trying to teach our sister. We're trying to be helpful and influential. But it's like, why don't they get it? It's because they're under attack. God says we're under attack. When there's a call on your life, when you show up like Gateway has showed up, and you love like Gateway has loved, and you got the call on your life like Gateway got the call on their life, there is going to be an attack. And this is why, you know, the church has sparsed, because everybody can't handle the attack. In Luke 22:31, this is what God told me. He said, this is what's going on at your church. I said, He said, Simon, Simon, Satan has asked to sift all of you as wheat. And some translations don't have all of you in it, but that first connotation meant all of you. All of you. And looking from my perspective, I'm telling you, it's all of us. I know every story, almost every story. And almost every story has some trial or tribulation or trauma. Satan has asked to sift you. That's why you've been sick. That's why your kids are far left. That's why they can't hear you. That's why there's been fighting and frustration. That's why. But Jesus said, but I have prayed for you, Simon. Now it's specific. But I have prayed for you, Simon. Because all of us are called to be sifted. But then there is a one that is called. And I believe Gateway is that one. But I have prayed for you, Gateway, that your faith may not fail. Because these trials, this trauma, the enemy that's coming to sift you, he's looking to take your faith. He's trying to get you not to believe anymore because this trial, this situation that has occurred to you, it might make you mad at God. It might make you think, I've been serving you all this time and this has still occurred. It'll shake your faith. When the enemy comes, this is why so many have left the faith, because something happened that they said there can't be a God. Oh my gosh. He said, but I pray that your faith may not fail. See, your faith can fall, but God can prevent your faith from failing. See, you got mad at God for a season, and you stopped coming to church for a season. And you was mad at your brother, your sister, your pastor for a season. But it was Satan. So that you can turn back and strengthen your brothers. This is what it's all about. But Peter replied and said, Lord, I am ready to go with you to prison and to death. Jesus answered, I tell you, Peter, before the rooster crows, today. How can you go from willing to give your life? I am in love with Jesus. I love the church. I am in this thing. I am sold out for the Lord. In the same day, you will deny me 3 times. You get to the place where you don't even know God. You don't even know him. You can go from absolute, sold out, I'll die for this thing, to you go to church, no, man. Them people don't know, no. The Lord, I'm trying to question whether that's even real. Why? Because the devil showed up. It showed up. That sifting is violent. That sifting is shaking. When they sift wheat, what they're trying to do is get all the junk out of this wheat that is not wheat. So they have to shake it real hard, and everything that falls is good. But it's got to be shaken out of you. Everything that falls is good. Everything that's still in there is sticks and rocks and mud and chunks and all that junk in you that only sifting can get out of you. Ouch. Lord, ain't you got another way? and it shakes up your world. It shakes your world. Can you imagine something that will shake your faith to today you sitting here and tonight you don't know the Lord? How bad could that be? How bad could something happen to just take you from sitting in that seat to never seeing you again? Because the enemy knows what it takes. But this is why he said, but I pray for you that your faith not fail. I pray that your faith not fail. I pray that you can fall. And you can mope, and you can ignore me, and you can leave me, but I'll never leave you. I'm still going to believe God. I'm still hoping that your faith don't fail. Yes, you can fall. Yes, you can trip. Yeah, you can limp. But when you come back, you're going to be stronger than you was before you were sifted. Because all that junk ain't on you no more. Because Peter had pride. And this ain't a pride message. We're done. Y'all humble now. Peter had this stuff that had to be shaken off. I won't do it. They all might fall, but I will never fall. Dude, you're gonna deny me today. So there's three things you need to recognize, real quick. Three things you need to recognize. You need to recognize. Number one, it's the devil. It's not a person. I know you mad at them. I know y'all don't get along. I know they get on your nerve. I know that they hit you hard. They threw you under the bus. They manipulated, and it's the devil. It's not the person. You fighting somebody. You mad at a relationship. You just being sifted. We're trying to get that junk out of you. We're trying to put some fruit. Long suffering, some patience, some meekness, some kindness, some gentleness. We're trying to get you some temperance. But we got to shake it. It's the devil. It's not people, and it's not God. God is not the author of confusion. God is not the author of sexual abuse. God is not the author of physical abuse. God is not the author of verbal abuse. God is not the author of sickness and disease. God doesn't do evil. He doesn't do evil. He cannot be tempted with evil. Nothing bad that happens to you comes from God. It does not. That all comes from the devil. God only wants good for you. Now, you can step out from under the umbrella and get wet. But if you stay under the umbrella, there's a hedge of protection. But even then, the devil is requesting. He's requesting to sift you. Why is that? Let's look at Job. One day, the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. The Lord said, Satan, where have you come from? Satan answered the Lord, from roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth. Paul said he roams through like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. So he's looking for the weak ones whom he can devour. Because he hates God, and he hates God's creation. He hates God, he hates God's creation. We're made after the image of God, so you are hated by the enemy. He was thrown out. And so he's always trying to make God look bad. You believe in all this stuff. You want everybody to be perfect. Well, they ain't perfect. You want everybody to be pure of heart. Well, they ain't pure of heart. You roaming through the earth. The only reason is because you protecting them. You got all these high standards, but they full of crap. But Job said, but God said, no. Then the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? He said, no. They love me. And they don't need protection. They don't need all them cars and steaks and lobsters and nice clothes and shoes. They'll still love me. They'll still love me. Will they? No, there's good in man. I love them. They ain't because I'm giving them all this stuff and all this protection. He said, as a matter of fact, Job, my servant Job, there's no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright. Not perfect. He didn't say perfect. He said blameless. See, you can be blameless because you maintain your relationship with God. You accept his blood offering. Or back then, you gave a blood offering. So you're blameless and upright. You're not perfect, but you're going in the right direction. No perfection, but direction. A man who fears God and shuns evil. Does Job fear God for nothing? Does he fear God for nothing? Does he fear God for nothing? And this is the point he's making. The reason he's doing all this is because you've protected him all your life. You've blessed everything his hand touches. Everybody loves him. Everybody celebrates him. Everybody, he got all these clothes and shoes and cars and jewelry and health. And that's why he loves you. He don't love you otherwise. Does he fear him for nothing? Of course not. You saying that about Job? Look at Job. Please choose somebody else. Job is flourishing. And then, of course, we know the story. Job was sifted. Job lost. Imagine all your bankers and 401ks, and right in this world, it could happen. They could call you and say, the bank that your money in, your money gone. Your 401k, the bank that money, gone. Lehman Brothers, gone. As a matter of fact, this house you're living in, you need to be out here in 30 days. You still gonna say, naked I came into this world, and naked I'll be gone. Is that what is? Blessed be the name of the Lord. Is that our testimony? I'm just wondering who is gateway? Or are we just a gate, not a way? So he tormented Job, and Job maintained, and then he said, well, I'm going to touch his body then. Since he stuff don't mean nothing but flesh for flesh. Touch his body, and then, you sores from head to toe, from the bottom of his feet to the top of his head. There was not an inch on his body that was not covered in boils, pus, painful boils. He still did not curse God. His wife said, dude, you obviously cursed. Just go ahead and curse God and die. She said, woman, you crazy. Will I accept the great things and not accept the bad things? Oh, my God. I got to find Job when I get to heaven. It's like, dude. Number two, you got to recognize when you're going through this stuff, because a lot of people find fault. It's not your fault, and it's not your fight. It's not your fault. You're just doing what God called you to do. You're just being who God called you to be. And then all this drama and trauma show up, overtake you, your child, and your health, and your friend, and people are dying out of nowhere. And sometimes the enemy likes to cause condemnation. The reason that things are happening in your life the way they are is because you ain't right. Because you ain't did enough. You know what the pastor told y'all to get them tithes, didn't he? All kind of stuff. All kind of stuff. You didn't raise your child right. We should have went to Sunday school too. All kind of crazy stuff. It's not your fault. The enemy wants you to think it's your fault. But it's not. The stuff that's happened is not your fault. Now, he did tell you stop eating all them pork chops. No, I ain't say nothing, Terry. I ain't say nothing. Terry had a pork chop this thick. It was good, too. I wanted a piece. It looked good. I was like, man, I remember when. But it's not your fight either. Here in 2 Chronicles, when the army had surrounded, he said, you shall not need to fight in this battle. Set yourselves. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. O Judah and Jerusalem, fear not. Some of us are afraid. Fear not, nor be dismayed. Don't be discouraged. I know this is overwhelming. I know this is hurting, but this is the Lord's battle. The enemy has come to say he wanted to sift you because you decided to be a child of God. And so now you're a target. It's not your fault. So it's not your fight. Nor be dismayed. Tomorrow, the only reason you're going through this is because you're a child of God. The only reason you're dealing with that is because you're a child of God. The only reason your kids are crazy is because you're a child of God. The only reason your boss is crazy is because you're a child of God. The only reason your husband is tripping is because you're a child of God. Your wife is tripping because you're a child of God. Your mama and daddy tripping because you're a child of God. My loved one is sick because you're a child of God. The Lord will be with you. David said to the Philistine, you come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel. He didn't defile you. Whoever this is talking about you, threw you under the bus, treating you bad, this disease, this sickness, this lie, whatever it is you're going through, whatever it is your kids are going through, it is because they're coming against God. They're not coming against you. You didn't defile me. See, you come to me with whatever you come to me, or you talking about me, or whatever. You ain't talking about me. You're talking about the one who loves me. You defile God. So Goliath was talking all this noise to the whole army of Israel. No, you didn't defile us. You defiled him. And because he's on my side, you're in trouble. And so what do we need to do? We need to maintain our position. Your position is in love and in peace. If you start fighting on your own, if the Lord is not fighting for you and you're fighting, you're going to lose. That's exactly what the enemy wants. He don't want you offended. He don't want you mad. He don't want you retaliating. He don't even want you to take on those negative. God said, think on good things. Think on these things that are of good report. Consider it all joy. Remember Job. It's not your fault. And it's not your fight. All you need to do, we used to tell, all the women that come to us, I'm like, okay, if he won't get right, okay, all you got to do is duck. God will bust him upside the head. And when you duck, you're ducking on your knees. You're on your knees in prayer. Don't fight back. Don't tick for tat. No. When you hold your peace and maintain your position, God fights for you. And man, he the best. He's the best. You have defiled him. You ain't defiling me. And I tell him, also, I said, this is God's daughter. Do you realize that that's God's daughter? She's saved. That's her daughter. His daughter. How do you feel about somebody messing with your daughter? All you fathers out there that got daughters, or all you brothers that got sisters, little sisters. How you feel about somebody mistreating her? No, that's God's daughter. Daughter, that's God's son. You don't talk to him any kind of way. God says, husbands, love your wives. Women, we're going to leave it at there. You guys fill in the blank, gentlemen. Fill in the blank. But if you do the first commandment, love your wives. Everything else is automatic. Women is automatic if they loved. You ain't got to fight and fuss and demean and no. They say a man, he eats the fruit of his garden. So if your garden is giving you thorns and thistle, then you're a bad gardener. You're a bad gardener. This day, today, the Lord will. Somebody say the Lord will. The Lord will. We ain't going to do it. The Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I'll strike you down and cut off your head this very day. I will give your carcasses to the Philistine army, to the army to the birds and the wild animals. Where is my glasses? And the whole world will know. The whole world will know. The whole world will know that there is a God in Israel, that there is a God in Gateway. I know you asked permission to sift us as wheat, but the whole world will know that there is a God at Gateway. All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves, for the battle is the Lord's, not my fight. The battle is the Lord's. Yeah, I know you ran some folk off because they couldn't handle the sifting. I know you ran some folk off because the sifting revealed some things and they wasn't ready to deal with it, wouldn't let that wheat fall. But the battle is the Lord's. He will restore them. He said their faith will not fail. They may fall, but it will not fail. He's prayed for us, and he will give us. He will give you into our hands. The enemy is already lost. The enemy has already lost. He's already lost. Number 3, and finally, you got to recognize you've already won. You've already won. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Look at this scripture. Though I walk in the midst of trouble. Though I walk in the midst of trouble. You in the midst of trouble. You in trouble. You preserve my life. You stretch out your hand against the wrath of my enemies. Your right hand delivers me. It's already done. You've already won. So consider it joy that you were chosen. That you were chosen to endure this trial. Consider it a privilege that you were chosen. This house was chosen. The enemy chose this house and said, I'm going to come against kids. I'm going to come against money. I'm going to come against health. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. And every tongue that rises up against thee in judgment means you're guilty, but we're not guilty. Thou shalt condemn. This is our heritage. We have inherited this, that the servants of the Lord and their righteousness is of me. We don't have to qualify. Jesus qualified us. And so whatever's going on, it doesn't matter. We're righteous. Jesus has called us righteous. We don't deserve what's going on. It's not our fault. It's not our fight. We don't deserve this. So the Lord's going to deal this thing. He's going to deal with it. You're going to look back on it and you're going to give God the glory. It's a testimony. It's just a testimony. What then shall we say in response to these things? If God be for me, even in the midst, if God be for me, who can be against me? Who can be against me? No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. For I am convinced. Say, I'm convinced. You got to be convinced. You got to be convinced because that's going to help you maintain your position even through the trial, through the hard time. Watching your kids go further and further and further. Watching your relationships go further and further. Watching your money go further and further. Watching your health go further and further. We got to be convinced that neither death, and God has killed, the enemy will try to kill some people and will kill some people, but neither death nor life. Neither angels nor demons. I don't care what they come or who comes. Neither the present or the future. I don't care what is happening now. I don't care what the projections look like in the future. Nor any powers. I don't care what position they hold. I don't care if it's from the president, the king, on down. Doesn't matter. Neither height nor depth. I don't care if somebody try to bribe you with higher heights. No, I'm not leaving God. Or threaten you to pull you down. Nothing in all creation. I don't care if they put me in a rocket and shoot me past Pluto. God is there. Nothing will be able to separate us. Nothing can separate us from the love of God. Nothing can separate us from the love of God. I don't care what it is. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care what. God has not left you. It is not him that's doing it. It's not your fault. Just maintain your faith. He's already prayed for you. If you're still sitting here after going through what I know a lot of you have gone through, God is praying. You're here. You are still here because he said that you now get to the place where you get to encourage someone else. You get to strengthen someone else because that shifting was beneficial. Enemy is just an instrument in God's hand as well. So remember to recognize, number one, it's the devil. Number two, it's not your fight nor your fault. It's the devil, but it's not your fight. It's the devil, but you don't have to fight him. It's the devil, whatever it is. And I don't care, no, it was them. No, it's the devil. You've been targeted. Your family has been targeted. Your health has been targeted. Your money has been targeted. Your relationships have been targeted. It's the devil. But don't blame yourself. And don't try to fight it. Don't fight. Don't come against the people that's coming against you. Don't do it. And number three, you've already won. This is why we can rejoice. This is why we can count it joy. Because it's funny. It's like that little baby coming up here wanting to try to start a fight with me. That's funny. That little baby come up here and that's funny. Here y'all go. You've already won. This is already done. So you're under attack. Remember that. Remember that. When you look in Jack's eyes, Tony, and he tripping, that's not Jack. That's not Jack. That's the devil. Come on, stand to your feet. Stand to your feet. Give God a hand clap.